Hi everybody, how's it going? It's Jackson. Welcome to part 2 of the Gone Pursuit run-through for... It was originally called the Pursuit with No Name, but they've actually fixed the thing here, so it's actually Seal Celebration, so whatever that ends up getting called. So this is going to be running through everything else that I didn't cover in the first video, except for the event tickets, the Jess's Fest, like Jess's event stuff, because that isn't actually active until the 25th of February. Sorry, 25th of March. My bad. So yeah, it'll be a little while before that comes out. So I'll just do a separate video for that thing. For everything else, I'm just going to cover all the important stuff for. You shouldn't need to do most of the more annoying ones. Like, you don't have to do incursions if you've done the ranks in the skill line. You shouldn't have to do trial, battleground matches, 10 group dungeons, 3 world bosses. Everything else, as long as you... Like, these are generally easier, so I just think do those. But, you know, incursions isn't too bad either, though. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was earning ranks in a skill line, because there are some things you can do that make this one really easy. Unfortunately, I tried to test some things and it ended up actually working. But if you don't have a skill line in your crafts here, as soon as you actually unlock it for, like, to get the passives and stuff in here, it counts as earning ranks in a skill line. So say I don't have jewelry crafting, right? So if I just go into this building here and I go to the crafting station for jewelry and it unlocks it up here, that would actually count and get me an extra level in progression here. And you can do that with other things to like cheese it a bit more. So if you've got a character that doesn't have one of these armor skill lines leveled up, but you've had that armor in the past and it's leveled it up, if you go and equip, like I just tried it then. So I went up and equipped these here, and I had my medium armor at level 31, and what it did is instantly like rank that Golden Pursuit up from 0 to 10 right away. So yeah, that one there. Any skill lines that you don't have unlocked in the skill menu here, including ones that you literally have never touched at all, like leveled up, it will count it. So any of these here, if you unlock these through the like crafting, like going to the crafting stations, every single one will level up one of these lines. So even if you don't do any quests to like level up some skills, you can do this on a new character as well, or just like any character that you haven't done any crafting on. So yeah, just a single character, 6 or 7 ranks of skill lines straight away from that. So that's another thing you can do. And you can also do this, so when you have weapons that you haven't unlocked by killing something with, you can just get a random weapon. So if I just put dual wield on, for example, it would unlock dual wield, but yeah, I've already got it here. So you can also do that. So for example, if I could just craft myself a bow, go kill a mud crab, that would also count for leveling up bow once too. So that's another thing you can do there. You know, you can do the scribing tutorial to unlock scribing and like level that up a little bit. You can do all sorts of stuff. So yeah, just be aware that you don't just have to level up like weapons directly or like class skill lines. You can unlock things that you don't already have. Same thing with like maybe Alliance War, maybe Fighters Guild, Undaunted, all that stuff. You can also unlock those on a new character too. So yeah. Alright, so next up, let's cover improving items. So the items themselves are pretty easy to get your hands on. It's just the method of improving them. Getting your hands on some items to use to improve with is just a bit of a roadblock. But I'll just go through what I think the best ways are to get some of these. So firstly, just explaining how to improve items. The improvement tab is found up here in any of the crafting stations. You can do this with like any item that isn't gold, basically. The only things I would personally use for improving for these endeavors, just because they're much less expensive, are the green and the blue quality ones. The only real items I would ever use for this are the clothing ones, hemming and embroidery. Sorry, I went way here. So hemming and embroidery. So these two, because they tend to be very cheap. Same thing with the blacksmithing ones, dwarven oil and honing stone. These all tend to be below 10 gold all the time. Woodworking, turpin isn't too bad, the blue one, but for some inexplicable reason, pitch is like fucking ridiculously expensive compared to the other ones. I don't know why. It's always been this way from what I remember, and yeah, it feels like that's not going to change for a while. Jewelry crafting, templating isn't too bad these days, but still much more expensive than the other options, and iridium is also about as expensive as pitch. So yeah, blacksmithing, green and blue, clothing, green and blue, both these things have really easy to find items to upgrade with as well, so yeah. Now there's 2 ways to get your hands on these things. You go into the skills tab, go into the crafts, blacksmithing, clothing, jewelry, blacksmithing, clothing, and woodworking. You've got hirelings here. So what these do is when you put skill points into this, over time in your mail, you'll get these mails here, like these offers here. They will have upgrade materials in them. So if I just go through elegant lining, some hemming there, this is a good example, some honing stones as well, that's good. Nothing there. And yeah, over time, you'll just get these things automatically. So like every time these come up naturally, you will usually have enough items just from doing these over and over, like collecting them, that you'll always be able to do these, because yeah, you'll just be able to easily get the items, and you'll off you go. You got some upgrading to do. So yeah, this is usually the best way I think to do it. It does require you to level up these skill lines pretty significantly to get the good hirelings, but look, as someone who has a lot of fucking hours in this game and who's been playing since like 2014, there is not a single thing I think more worth your time than leveling up your crafting. It gives you so much good shit. So in my personal opinion, you should lock the fuck in and get crafting sorted, because it will make your life so much easier. Trust me. Another thing you can do is anytime you find green quality items, if you deconstruct these, they give you a chance to get green or whatever quality material that you use to upgrade them with. So yeah, that is a way, but you tend to get not even a single one. Like you have a chance to get one each item. So that's really inefficient way to get them. Because if you can spend the time getting those sorts of items, you can probably spend the time, or like if you can spend the gold on getting those items and deconstructing them, you can spend the gold on hemming, or you can spend the time getting gold to buy, stick yourself some hemming from guild stores and stuff. So don't really suggest that option. Another one, if your leveling in craft is good and you've got the extraction passive here, or unraveling or wood extraction, you can go find some raw materials and refine them, and you get the chance of them giving you some upgrade materials. So as an example there, just use one, I got a hemming. Again, not the most efficient way to get these, but if you refine a huge stack when you're doing like writs, naturally you'll just get a bunch of these as you go. So yeah, that is another option. The other good option that isn't hirelings is going to be guild stores. So this one here as an example, open it up and you go materials, you go blacksmithing or clothing, and then you go tannin or temper. It's always on the right side of this list. If you have add-ons, it'll look a bit different, but if you've been using that add-on, I should assume you just are familiar with it at that point. Yeah, you're just looking for this stuff. You search, and as an example, here's some hemming for 7 gold 96. Sorry, 7 gold 65. That's really good. So anytime you look for anything on guild stores, always go for the unit price, not the total, because the total could be very cheap, but yeah, the unit price could be really fucking high. So yeah, I wouldn't do that. That unit price isn't too bad, but like just as an example, 15,000 gold for Dregwax, pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I assume most people are familiar with it, but if you're not, let me enlighten you with one of the fucking best things in this game, and that is Tamriel Trade Center. So this is like, it keeps track of all the items that you can find in guild stores all over the place. So if you, for example, just type in hemming, and then you go advanced search. This is on EU though, so it's not NA, so I wouldn't be able to find it here. But yeah, basically, like, you just got to make sure you pick the right console and server. When you click this, it gives you that option. So yeah, just go hemming and then go amount anywhere between 1 and like 10, because you don't need a lot. You need 5 green ones at worst case scenario. So you probably want to go more towards 50. And then the unit price between anything between 0 and 10, you don't really want to be spending any more than that. But just as an example there, you can just look through this stuff. Like, look at the prices on this stuff. That is not a lot. So yeah, you can just find some really good deals doing that stuff, and it tells you where to find it. Tells you how long ago it was posted. So yeah, just all sorts of good stuff. And yeah, this stuff here is pretty common on guild stores, so yeah, you shouldn't really have any issues there. If you need gold, I would advise you check the description. I've got a prep video that just shows you how to get some gold. It's just like an infinite source. It's very slow, but if you want something like this, it is a perfectly fine option for that. So yeah, I'd advise taking a look at that. But yeah, that kind of gold is probably pretty easy to get, regardless. I'll link that website in the description if you want to take a look yourself. Alright, now on to getting yourself some items to upgrade. You can go into basically anywhere there's like shops, like armor or equipment shops. You'll see items that you can steal. You can do that, but if you want items that you don't that aren't stolen, you can just go and take them whenever you want. There's two ways. Imperial City is one good way because it also has crafting stations you can just run straight to after you collect the items to upgrade with. The only thing is this is a place you have to be level 10 for. Most people are level 10, but just in case, I'll give you a alternate that you can do under level 10, just in case that matters. But yeah, as an example here, you got some great swords here, so let me just grab a couple of these. But yeah, like if you come over here, you've got some wood items if you've only got like the wood upgraded materials. And usually if you go into like other rooms, you'll find like other things. Usually clothing items you have to look around a bit more for, but as an example, like over here, there's a bunch of boots up here that I could just grab, and they're all medium armor and light armor. Some boots there. If I go over to the other side, there is a room with a bunch of robes as well. So that'll be another good clothing option. So I think it's this room here. Yeah, here you go. So yeah, some clothing items there. So yeah, if you want to use clothing upgrading stuff, that's all good. The areas will look a bit different depending on the alliance that you do this on, but the idea is the same. There'll just be shit lying around that you can just pick up, and you don't get a bounty for this stuff. Even if you have a bounty, nobody in here gives a shit. Cyrodiil's the same, so yeah. And Cyrodiil's also got tons of stuff. So this room here, the one with the, like, it's got the leather tanning icon, that's the one where you'll find all the crafting stations. So you just go here to the improvement tab. So I'll just go to the flexibility station because that's the stuff I grabbed. Let's go here, and click. You get the chance. Always go 100% chance. I don't think it's worth it anything else. So yeah, just the items you need, just go ahead. You'll only need 2 if you level up crafting a lot. So yeah, it's really handy. That's another reason why leveling crafting is so good. Let's go through all this stuff, and then one of the intricate items. Then you just go deconstruct all these items that you just upgraded. Just deconstruct them as well to get a couple of the items back. So if you get more improving items ones in the future, you can just do that. So yeah, that's all there really is to it to upgrading. I'll just go through the alternate option, which is the below level 10 thing. Okay, so go to the nearest way shrine. You want to go to White Tower. You can find this in the Cyrodiil zone, just here. Don't worry, you're not fighting anything. You just there's like a secret room that you can enter, and it's got a bunch of items that you can pick up. And again, it's just like stolen stuff. And there's also lots of swords on the floor that you can also upgrade, depending on which upgrade material you've got. There's like different things. So as soon as you get in, you look down. There's a helm. There's an axe there. There's a shield. There's a sword. So you can just pick all this stuff up. Just look at all the dead skeletons like on the floor. You'll get all sorts of stuff. There's some sword and a shield there. And it's the same all the way around here. If you want... Yeah, there's another shield there. If you want clothing, you just come into this room here. The Daedric Embers Trophy Vault. And in here, you'll find a bunch of like clothing items on some of the tables here. This is also where you go for the Endeavors prep thing for getting some gold as well. So that's where I suggest you go, because all this stuff resets when you leave and enter. So yeah, it's really good. If you're, say, at like a wayshrine that's nowhere near like a crafting station, I have to go out here. Instead, you can also alternately go to like a trial. Halls of Fabrication as an example. This has got crafting stations in it. So if you just don't want to travel that way, if you just want to get a crafting station that's right next to you in an instance area that you can just leave conveniently out of when you're ready. I'm pretty sure every trial except for the 3 Crag ones have the crafting stations in them. So there you go, there's a clothing station there. The blacksmithing station is... Oh, sorry, let me get this clutter off the screen. Yeah, the blacksmithing station is here as well. So the exit is over here, so when you're all done, you can just use this, and it takes you back to where you came in from. So yeah, really convenient all around. Alright, next option, scribing a skill. So if you've already completed the scribing quest line, just a quick recap, find any scribing altar. These would be very common in players' houses, even if they're not like guild halls. Usually people will have this because it was part of a golden pursuit recently. So all you have to do is go to the scribing altar, find any skill that you've already scribed, just like change one thing. So for example, I've got this one here. All I'd have to do right now is just change, for example, Sage's Remedy to Hero's Resurgence. As long as it changes in any way, that's all. If you haven't done it though, let me show you the way to start this quest line. Because naturally, when you complete the second era of scribing, one of the parts of this quest is to scribe a skill. So naturally, if you just do that quest, you're going to get this done anyway. So, and that is completely free. You don't need to actually use any luminous ink for that one. So let me just show you how to get to second era of scribing started, because it doesn't explain that. There's a couple of ways, but I'll just show you the most straightforward way. So first thing you want to do is head to the nearest way shrine. Just go to the Stormhaven zone. You want to look for this way shrine here. If you've got this, just travel there, because the quest giver to start this quest line is over here. If you don't have this yet, it's pretty easy to get here anyway. There are, like I said, a bunch of other places, like other ways you can get here, but this, in my opinion, is the most simple. Because yeah, it doesn't really matter which alliance you're on. So what you want to do is go to group, go to home tours at the bottom here, just go browse homes, open this menu up, and you want to look for a house called Gardener House. Just look for this one. You'll see a bunch of options come up. It doesn't matter which one you choose, just go to any of these, and then just let the travel animation go through. Once you're there, you just head back outside, and this will take you to Stormhaven, pretty much right next to where the quest is. Alright, so now we just turn back around, go out the door, and yeah, you see we're in Stormhaven now. Alright, so from here, you just head straight up these stairs right in front of you. Let's go around this big building here. When you see this section of the wall, you just jump down here, and he'll be pretty much right in front of you. So here he is here. This dude is who you start the quest with. So if you want to actually see the quest, it's pretty simple. There's just like a bunch of regular like overland enemies in the way. I've done another video for that. So if you just search on the channel, just put scribing in like the search bar, you'll see a bunch of like scribing questline like jog through stuff. It's like a few hours long. So yeah, you can check that stuff out if you want. The second era of scribing takes like 5 minutes though. It's very simple. And yeah, in that quest, you will just automatically scribe a skill. So that's all there is to it, really. Alright, next up is resources from the world. So as you run around the map, in basically anywhere, there's not really any place that's bad for this, I think. You just go and find things like this. Ancestor Silk on the side of the road. Over here we've got like a platinum jewelry seam. So basically just pick a zone that you like and run in a straight line and you'll just find all sorts of stuff. If you need to know what exactly you're looking for, I've got a link to this. Oh god, fucking broken everything. I need Windows. Okay, so yeah, it shows plants, clothing materials, ore veins, logs, ore themes, or jewelry themes I should say, runestones. Everything here counts as resources from the wild. So find any of this in the wild, you just be able to pick these up and progress this endeavor. The only things, as far as I'm aware, that don't work are Stitchic portals. Giant clams also don't work, I found out. You can't find these 3 runes anymore, it's just the regular orange runestones. And I think Lost Imperial Notes don't work either. Everything else is fair game, including pure water nodes, water skins as well, Forest Trap, all this stuff here works. The only other things that don't work are treasure chests, insect nodes. So if I just go and find like a butterfly node or something, let me have a look. Yeah, here we go. So butterfly nodes. So I'm at 4. If I just go and grab this butterfly, yeah, still at 4. So there are a few things that don't work, but everything else, aside from insects, chests, thieves' troves, Stitchic portals, everything else works. So basically just pick a place you like going through, as I said, and just, if I just go through here and just start running in a straight line, I'll find all sorts of shit. There you go, there's a bit of ruby ash wood. Only a few items of like all these types, whoa, that was weird, whatever, will spawn at a time. So as an example, every cloth node There will only be 2 types that spawn for you at any given time. It depends on your crafting level and your character's level. Alchemy things, it's like everything can spawn though. Same with like runestones, there's only 1 node, so you never have to worry about that. And yeah, just keep that in mind for cloth nodes, jewelry nodes, blacksmithing nodes, and wood nodes. Everything else spawns at the same. It has the same appearance. Also, just be aware sometimes there's enemies all over the place. But these potentially can be good places to look for resources because these tend to be less visited by other people. Okay. Got this. Got a ruby ash wood. Got a runestone over there. Got a jury seam and a chest. So the chests don't work. That's okay. Yeah, you can see you can get this one done very quickly if you just go into like random places and find them. The blast thistle. So how far are we at now? Yeah, so we're over halfway. Like, you see what I mean? You can get this done super quick. I would advise going for places that are like less visited. So just like find random waste runs in old like base game zones, like Green Shade for example. I'm just like over here somewhere. Like, you know, just gone around Malabar Tor and places like this. You know, randomly in the Rift over here somewhere, you know, that sort of thing. I find those to be pretty good places for just finding random resources all over the place, because it's just places that people tend to not visit as much. Now, I will make a case for one thing that is frequently visited by people. Also, I should point out now that it's a base game, Rothgar, also an amazing zone for finding resources. Just like, look at this place, just everywhere. It's so good. Yeah, I'll just show you one place that I like to use for different reasons than, like, there's lots of resources everywhere. It's just a lot of people go there, and yeah, for a good reason. I'll show you. So Craglorn, right? I've gone through this place a lot. There's a lot of stuff here, but this is usually where everybody goes, because in Craglorn, every time you harvest a cloth node, a blacksmithing node, a wood node, or a jewelry node, you have a chance to get something called Nuncrux. This stuff. So you've got the like red gems, like the rubies, and then basically the blood cocaine. This stuff sells for a lot, and the only place to get this in Craglorn. So while you're doing this resources from the world challenge, you could also at the same time potentially get some Nuncrux. The potent Nuncrux is a lot more expensive than the fortified, but you get a lot more fortified than you do potent, so it kind of balances out pretty well. But yeah, as I said, this is usually the place where everybody's farming at the same time, so just, yeah, be aware of that. But yeah, you just basically go somewhere in Craglorn, there's just fucking resources all over the shop. Now, a few more things to go through, things that will speed up your progress, because, you know, when you want to go and find out resources, you want to be fast, you want to be able to claim them quickly, you want to be able to find them quickly. So firstly, I would advise, just in general, like for Golden Pursuits, for Tamriel Tomes when they come out, for harvesting resources, for dungeon runs, you want to get yourself a speed build. I have a guide for this exact build here in the on my channel. If you just look up Vampirism guides, it'll be there somewhere. It just goes through everything I have here. Like it's basically just a sprint build. This one's with Wild Hunt, but I show like other alternatives to that, like other stats and stuff. There is also using a cloak build with things like Wild Hunt or Adept Rider. Using cloak, you can use that to go past enemies invisibly, stuff like that. Yeah, just basically get as much movement speed on foot and on mount as you can. That really helps because it just means traveling from node to node is quicker. You also want to look at a couple of other things. So firstly, champion points. Go into the green tree. You want to try and get Master Gatherer to max. Fund of a Harvest is also good because you get more out of the resource that you go and find. Steve's Blessing is great because it increases your overall movement speed, so getting to nodes quicker. Gifted Rider for the same thing except for your mount. 10% extra mount speed, it's just always on. Yeah, can't go wrong with that one there. And yeah, War Mount also if you can get that one. That is a lot of champion points to get there. In red, you've also got Sprinter for reduced sprint cost, Celerity for more movement speed, Hasty for increased sprint speed as well. This stuff here can also speed you up while you're running from node to node. Other than that, everything else is just like more combat oriented or like crafting oriented. As far as skills go, the only thing that really benefits you is in the like all the crafting skill lines, you've got keen eye passives. So the effect you saw with some of the items that I find, like the jewelry and the cloth node, I had keen eyes, so it adds like a glowing effect to them. So when I do find them, it's like you can usually spot them from further away. There's an alchemy one there, for example, because normally it can be like, if you're new to ESO especially, like it can be hard to see these things because like from far away, you know, if I go too far away for the glowing effect, like you cannot see that at all. But if I just go here, whoop, there's the glowing effect, you can see that. So yeah, Keen Eye can really help you in those situations. What can also really help you if you don't have access to Keen Eye is in video, you go to grass near the bottom, turn this off, and whenever you go out into the wilderness, things will only spawn, like it'll basically, the render distance of nodes is always the same, so you'll usually find these things from much further away if you have grass off, because you'll see the flowers just on their own in the middle of just a clear like texture patch, and yeah, you can see it's just over there. Obviously it's dark, so you can't really see it very well there, but when you're approaching it, that can really help, because otherwise, you know, there's sometimes just the plants get in the way, especially in places like High Isle. It's so bad for that place because there's like really tall grass and shit like that in there. Same with like Merkmire and shit like that. Yeah, that also really helps. Another thing to look at is server report. So as an example, I'll go grab this one here. So you can get these from Rift, and they come in two versions. They come in these like unopened container versions, which are, these are purchasable on guild stores. So if you want to use these yourself, you can that way. Or they'll come up as bound options in the miscellaneous tab. So this is where they go when you open those containers. So these are the actual ones you want to use. What they do is they show you a place on the map. I have an add-on that shows these on the map if you want that. It's called Lost Treasure. Really helps if you don't want to bother with going through the... I mean, most of the surveys are easy to spot on their server reports, but some of the jury ones, I believe, they've written. Yeah, and in that case, I'm like, I can't be fucked dealing with that shit. So yeah, I usually just use this add-on to find them on the map. But most of the like other types of surveys, they're like shown on the map. So like, or they have like a map and it has like a cross where it is on the map. So most of them are easy, but yeah, if you just don't want to deal with that shit, just grab Lost Treasure. Okay, so as an example, here's a group of platinum scenes from a survey. So I've got 6 left, and conveniently there's 6 here. So for these, you just treat them like any other node. Yeah, sorry, it's a bit weird bug with that. The good thing about these is they're basically instanced, because when you have a survey, the 6 nodes that spawn here, they cannot actually be harvested by another player. Another player can have this survey and harvest their own version, but your version cannot be taken by other people, so it's a guaranteed way to get a bunch of harvesting from the world options done. There's a lot of resources out there though, so don't stress about this, but it is definitely like a guaranteed way to get a bunch of these quickly if you want to go that route. And you know, if you want to do Rift and you're short a resource and you want to use this as a way to get someone to refine it, then you know, you can do kind of 2 birds with 1 stone and that sort of thing. And you know, on the way while you're doing these like this harvesting stuff, there is the possibility that you'll get to a world boss, like this one for example, and when you get here it'll be up. I think this one, oh yeah, this one's up. So someone might be doing that world boss, you can give them a hand, or you can fight the world boss yourself if you consider yourself capable. Normally my vampire builds are not very good at that sort of thing though, so I try to avoid doing that unless there's a lot of people. But that is potentially something you can do. Same thing with, you know, incursions, killing enemies or killing enemies with class skills, that sort of thing. You can do all that sort of thing while you run around and do this. Or, you know, you could have a trial. Look for a trial and group finder, and while that group is forming, you can go do your resources from the world while that happens. You know, there's a lot of flexibility here. And you know, or you could queue for a battleground, same thing. So yeah, there's, as I said, a lot of flexibility with this one. Alright, now looking at world bosses. So all you gotta do to find a world boss is look for this icon on the map. In my personal opinion, so yeah, you can see if you're here, during the resources from the world one, we saw the Dragon's Hollow one that was over there. In my opinion though, especially since I personally think you only need 1 if you want to go for all like the quickest options. 3 is not too bad though, so yeah, you can just do your 3. It's probably going to take you 10 to 15 minutes waiting for 3, because the issue with this one is no matter how many world bosses are at one, like how many bosses, like different enemies there are at a world boss, it only ever counts as 1. So completing an entire world boss fight, that just counts as 1. So I think you're better off just sitting at 1, just chilling for a bit, and just like doing one where there's a lot of players around, because they'll all kill the boss much quicker. But yeah, I'll just go through some relatively easy ones to find, or some like easy ones to do back to back if you want to try that. So the only one I think you really need is you go to Glenumbra, you go to Daggerfall Waste Shrine, because this is unlocked as soon as you start the game. As soon as you create a character, you can always head straight here because the Waste Shrine is unlocked by default. And all you gotta do, right, I've still got the grass set off, just a sec. If we come down here, that's where this world boss is. It's probably one of the quickest you can get to in the game. And the odds are there will be a few people here. It's gonna depend on the time of day. At prime time, there's probably going to be a fair few people. At like the opposite, not so much. But because it's so easy to get to, this is usually where everybody is. The only thing is, it's not the easiest boss to do on your own. The boss hits quite hard. It does have a lot of margin for error, because the boss hits really hard, but doesn't attack very often. So you have plenty of time to like block it and conserve your stamina pretty easily. But yeah, it's a lot to deal with for a long time, and the boss has a really irritating backhand slap thing. It like comes out really fast, so it's hard to telegraph. You can try and predict it, but sometimes it can be painful. It's just like he'll only do it. It's like he won't do it multiple times in quick succession. It'll always be like 15 or 20 seconds before you can do it again. It's just like a cooldown thing. Alright, here we go. So, always block just as you go to hit him, because chances are he'll start with the fucking back flap, the bitch slap. Okay, heavy attack, does a lot of damage, block it. So this you can interrupt to stop it, but unless there's a lot of companions around, who will usually interrupt that thing, if you just let that thing go, it will just sit there doing that cannot attack and do nothing else, and it just doesn't do anything basically for a while. But you know, if you can handle that, just interrupt it. This is starting not to do the bitch slap, which is annoying. There it is, that thing there. Look how much fucking damage it does. Yeah, that's the only real annoying attack that he does. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Thank you for the shards there, and there we go. Yeah, so a few players, takes a few minutes, pretty straightforward, and yeah, world boss done. So yeah, unfortunately, now you're gonna have to wait like 5 minutes for it to respawn. Now, obviously, you can just go do like another world boss at a different place, but the problem is, if there's other people at that world boss, you might get there and it might be dead already, and you might be waiting for it to respawn anyway. So, in my personal opinion, it's better just to keep it simple. Just sit at this one, because then you know for a fact it's going to respawn in a little bit, so you can just chill for a bit. And usually some people will come around this one and do it. But I'll just go to a couple of other easy options that I do suggest trying. And they're both relatively easy to get to as well. Alright, there really isn't any world boss I recommend more than Starter. This is Lesser Circle in Ellicott Desert. It's easy to get to because you can use home tours. If you need to understand how home tours works, just check the description. Got a prep video for it there. You can use houses like this one, Silent Magnifico or Sisters of the Sands. Just travel to these and then just head out, and it's just a little bit east. The reason I suggest this boss so much is because if you basically circle her, and then when she does this, just step back, she'll do 2 AoE attacks. She'll do that one, and she'll do this one. If you just circle her like this, if you're quick enough, she will not spend a lot of time actually hitting you. She'll spend a lot of time just spamming AoEs like this. Like, look at this shit. She's hit me once in like 20 seconds. Now, obviously, it's hard not to get hit, and it does a fair bit of damage. And this attack does a shit ton of damage as well. But you can see it coming from a mile away, and you've just got so much time to heal through it as well. Because she just does melee. As far as I'm aware, she doesn't do anything. She doesn't spawn any enemies. It's just her. And yeah, just her light attacks, her conal AoE, and then the channeled AoE that you can interrupt. And I never suggest interrupting it. The only problem is companions with this fight. Companions are virtually useless because they will not understand to get out of the AoE. They will die constantly. So honestly, because she will just go over and attack them and kill them usually very quickly, I don't even suggest bringing them out. I just think they're just virtually useless unless you have like a really tanky one, or there's like 5 and they all just like juggle aggro like constantly. Yeah, it's like, yes, she does hit hard when she does hit you, but like, so does every fucking world boss basically. So yeah. Alright, another one of my personal favourites is Brahma's Grove, located in the centre of Stonefalls. Also really easy to get to, because again, you've got home tours to help you out. You've got Ebony Flask in room, and you've got Ebonheart Chateau over here. Both lead you pretty close to a wayshrine that get you straight to Brahma's Grove. You can also get this one if you want. These are both about as close to Brahma's as each other. It also has access, like Stonefalls has easy access to Striform Hive as well, because you've got this wayshrine, which is not an easy world boss, but just like Western Overlook in Glenumbra, there's usually quite a few people here as well. I find this one is dead more often than Starter is, but yeah, this is up. So Ozacha is definitely not as easy to deal with as Starter, but just like Starter and just like Western Overlook, she's got this like channeled AoE, just sits there doing nothing. The only thing is, occasionally, if you just stand still for ages, Ozacha will stop doing that attack. And what you want to do in that case is, I would advise just like every now and then just like relocate yourself a little bit. I think it's like elevation related, but yeah, there you go. So usually like 10-20 seconds is all you have to wait for them to do it again. But yeah, sometimes she just stops doing it. And in that case, yeah, you just have to make sure you do that. Yeah, pretty easy. Just light attacks every now and then. Kill the little calves by using AoE skills, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward fight. Because that's it. Just light attacks and that AoE there that basically she does nothing for 10 or 20 seconds. Alright, another potential option to check out is the pair of world bosses located in the... It's like close to Woodhearth, located in Greenshade. So these two here, you've got Rewater Spring and Reconnaissance Camp. Now, again, I need to be clear here. If you kill all 3 of these guys, that doesn't count as 3 world bosses. It only counts as 1. It sucks, but that's just the way they designed this challenge. So what I would do is just kill this one, then just check back and forth, see which one spawns first, kill the next one, and then just kill the 3rd one. Now, do be aware that these are not as easy to deal with as Starter or as Brahma's Grove. But these 3 here, they all are relatively low health, so they do all die quite quickly. So yeah, block the Agony. Try and use a bit of AoE if you've got it, because yeah, as I said, they will die very quickly. Yeah, definitely requires a little more management than some of the other ones. Yeah, like, look at the damage they're doing. It's definitely a lot more than some of the other places. So you can, to make it easier on yourself, you can like focus one at a time. But yeah, you just need to be very careful with your resources. Close. Usually, probably best to kill the guy who does the Agony first. I think it's Mahelius, but I'm not sure. If you want to make sure, probably go on UESP, the ESO wiki, and just check which one actually does that. If it shows there, maybe it does. Yeah, that one, not too bad. Definitely much easier if you got a team, or like companions are actually pretty good there, because they only usually get aggroed by one at a time. And then you've got Heart of Rootwater, who's very similar to Western Overlook. It's a lurcher, but the only main difference is there's a couple of strangles here, so it's just slightly more. But other than that, it's basically the same. So then do this thing. But yeah, it does nothing for when that happens. Yeah, just tanky, hits hard, block the attacks because they come out slow, and that's basically it. Alright, one last thing I want to cover is AI-generated like searches. These can be very hit and miss. I don't really like to trust these, because, as an example here, like this one's good. Like, avoid DLC zones? Absolutely. But I have seen some AI-generated searches say Dandunos the Reborn and Walks Like Thunder are easy VOD bosses and recommends fighting them. That is the most bullshit fucking response I've ever possibly seen. They are unbelievably brutal. Like, even for, like, experienced players, they're still fucked to try and do on your own. Some of these are good. Brahma's Grove, like I said, is good. Strifestorm, not the easiest one to do on your own, though, so I don't really recommend that one. Western Overlook, same thing. The only reason I'd recommend that one is because there's usually so many players. So it's not easy, but it's just there's lots of players usually, so that's fine. Yeah, some of these, like Lost Caravan, I'm not a big fan of. Hag Camp, I think, is okay. I know there's one in Rivenspire that's nasty, but I don't know about that one. I've never tried it. Yeah, Brahma's Grove, Starter. The two in Green Shade, the one in Glenumbra right next to the Wayshrine, they're usually the ones I would recommend. Anything else more than that, I personally think is just complicating matters. But, you know, if there's a place you like going to do the resources from the world, as I said before, maybe just check if there's any blood bosses there getting fought by people. Alright, now let's take a look at group dungeons. Or one group dungeon, because personally, you should only do one, because 10 is just too much. Like, there's just way easier, way quicker options to do here. Well, maybe not easier. Doing Fungal 1 10 times is pretty easy, but yeah, you get what I mean. Anyway, so yeah, one group dungeon, really fast, and like, you can do pledges if you want. That's maybe a good option. But if you want to do this as simply and quickly as possible, just do one Fungal Grotto one. I'll show you a run of that in a minute. But yeah, I just want to go through pledges, right? So if you're not familiar with pledges, in each of the capitals there's the Undaunted Enclave, and they've got like daily dungeon challenges. Some of these dungeons, the base game ones from Major Regath and Galerium, they're fucking really easy. Like, probably 80 to 90% of them can just be done on your own relatively quickly with just like a decent build. Basically, if you've got like Vigor, you can survive practically anything that it throws at you. But yeah, it's probably best to just do this on like a decent damage dealer build. You know, all you really need is like Order's Wrath and like another damage set, and maybe like a monster set if you can. But it's not mandatory. Just speeds it up a little. So yeah, just something like that, and just like gold weapons really is all you really need. Yeah, the better stuff you can get, the better. But yeah, like gold weapons is like the only real thing I would recommend, just because the effect of golden weapons is so damn powerful for anything you do. But yeah, so as an example, we'll talk to Galerian here, and we'll get the Major Regath one. So Fungal Grotto 1, oh sorry, Fungal Grotto 2 looks like. Okay, yeah, so here's an example of a time that I guess isn't very good. If you are watching this another day, then it's probably going to be fine, because yeah, the pledges that you get are going to be different. The only pledges you really need to worry about as far as solo play goes are these 6 here. There's a few more, I think, a few more DLC ones, but the 4 base game ones are these 4. So Fungal Grotto 2, Wayward Swords 2, and Crit for Hearts 2, they're impossible to solo for a different reason than Difrost Keep. These 3, there's like a CC attack that hits you that you can't get away from, that if the mechanic isn't followed, kills you. So Fungal Grotto 2, the like shadow things that hold onto you need to be killed. Whereas there's 2, there's like buttons that need to be pressed essentially. In Crit of Hearts 2, you need to damage the boss, like get a shield off him that like takes a bunch of damage. If you don't kill that shield in like a certain amount of time, it kills the player. So these are like group-oriented things. It is possible to get through them, like to cheese them in solo play using a specific ultimate. In Sigil Order, the Undo ultimate, there's like a morph that allows you to CC break on your own, which is kind of cool, and supposedly I think that's the only way to cheese these. The only one that's different is Starfrost Keep, because there's 2 buttons you got to press, and you need 2 people for that. Supposedly there is a way to like use a gap closing skill to reach a troll from like a, you can see it through like a grate underneath like where the, in like the floor where the buttons are, like underneath that floor there's like a portcullis sort of door, and there's a troll on the other side, and you can like see that troll and you can just go straight through. Or I believe you can use Streak as a sorcerer. I think that also works. If you quickly streak over to the other button, I think they both work at the same time. As far as I'm aware, that's the only way to do that though. But every other dungeon is just fine. So things like Vollenfell, Cillian's Web, all pretty easy to do on normal. But to keep things simple, if you just want to get this challenge done, I just advise doing Fungal Grotto 1 a single time. You can also look for dungeons in Group Finder. Just go Dungeon. Might be someone doing like a normal one, or maybe a veteran one if you want to do like veteran pledges for like 2 keys maybe, or 3 keys if you want to do the DLC stuff. It's entirely up to you. I think 4 keys for hard mode now, isn't it? Yeah. Big cheese though. Okay, so Fungal Grotto 1. You find it here on the western side of Stonefalls. The quickest way here, if you've never been, is to use home tours with Kragenholm. Head north, head west. There'll be some enemies over here you need to worry about. There's like Ashlanders, but basically just go around here, get this way shown, and then come down here. Most of them are like around this area here. But once you got it on the map, you can just travel into it whenever you want. So this thing here can be done very fast, like 5 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes if you have a really powerful build. You don't have to fight anything in here except for one boss located right here, this guy. Everything else can be skipped. You can fight them if you want to progress the killing enemies one and the defeating enemies with class skills, but you can do those alternately in like different places where it's like easy to kill enemies, because in here some of these enemies are like, they have a bit more health than enemies you'd probably see in like Overland. Right, so just swapping over to my damage field. That there. So the only things that this guy does, he does a heavy attack, which doesn't do a lot of damage, just knocks you down, which is kind of annoying. He has like a roar that he does that like sort of messes with your feng shui a little bit. That one there. So yeah, just like stop you from doing effects. And then there's this thing which puts a little circle on you, does a bit of damage, but that's it. That's all he does. So this dude's pretty simple. Just block the heavy attack, or dodge it if you want. There's nothing you can do about the brawl, and there's nothing you can do about the second thing. Just deal with them. Just have like a couple of self heals, and yeah, it's pretty easy to kill this guy. There you go, so he's done. Now, once you kill him, this door will open, so just head through here. You don't have to fight anything else in here except for the final boss over here. So what you can do to ignore all the enemies in here, I assume most people know how this works, but just for the uninitiated. So you see these guys here, you see this creek, just turn left. Don't have to fight any of this stuff. Just come down here, you'll see the big mud crab there, you just go underneath this bridge. Now you can jump and hold sprint to speed yourself up in the water, and sometimes it's worth it because sometimes you'll just get aggroed by these mud crabs. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Just whether the game feels like it wants to or not, it just happens. But yeah, you only have to kill this guy. So Draking, very similar to War Chief Otzesire. He has a heavy attack, and he's got like a AoE circle that he puts in the ground. There's the heavy attack, comes out quite quickly. And he's got this AoE, which does a fair amount of damage, but again, as long as he got a self-heal, he usually doesn't do much else than that. Unearth some mud crabs. Great for Night Blades, because Soul Harvest gives you shit on his ultimate. Oh, look at that, I've almost got my ultimate back again. Yeah, just have a bit of AoE so you can kill the mud crabs. Pretty straightforward. And there you go. So that's a group dungeon. Simple as that. And yeah, you can just do that 9 more times if you want to do this group dungeon one. But just be aware, you can't just leave here and the dungeon will reset straight away. You have to wait like 5 minutes for the dungeon to reset. Alternatively, if you've got a friend and you want to do the group dungeons anyway, you can group up with them. Go to group tab here and dungeon mode. It'll have the option to go vet or normal. You just swap between them and it'll reset the area. It only works when you're in a group though. It doesn't work when you're solo. I don't know why. It's just the way this game is designed again. But yeah, there's no other dungeon I would really suggest other than this one, just because it's so easy to get through straight to each boss. Okay, now on to defeating 500 enemies and defeating enemies with class skills. Well, they're very similar, but there are slight differences between these two. With class skills, you have to kill, like, the last thing that hits an enemy when it dies has to be one of your class skills. Emphasis on yours. With 500 enemies, though, you could hurt them and then someone else could kill them, and it's just fine. So, yes, it's a lot of enemies, but it's pretty easy to do this because basically when you do the other stuff like a trial, dungeons, yeah, like when you're doing your class kills, incursions, stuff like that, the odds are you'll just be getting these naturally as you do it. Like, a trial will probably give you 200, maybe more. So, yeah, most of the time, defeating 500 enemies is just going to be flexible and easy. But if you want to do this very quickly, you can basically do it in like probably 10 minutes using Skyreach Catacombs. I'm sure a lot of people know how that works, but I'm just going to run through that today just so people know how that one works. That is like, I think that's the best solution for any time defeating enemies comes up, and also defeating enemies with class skills, which I will discuss this a bit more because there's a bit more to it. Like, defeating enemies, you can just do this on any character that you're familiar with. Pick whatever character that works best for like solo play, and you can just go into Skyreach and do that. But killing enemies with class skills, this one requires you to have something with some good class damage, and particularly class AoE damage, because if you're just hitting an enemy at a time with just like any single target class skill, yes, it can work. And you can use critters for this, because like critters, say, there's not really any around here, but like goats or monkeys, you know, like monkey's rest. Oh, here's one. As an example, the squirrel. You could just hit that with a single target class skill, and that does work. And there's areas where there's lots of critters, so I guess I'll just discuss this one first. Places like at Stonefalls, you've got just out the front of Devon's Fine Steeds over here, there's a bunch of little mini spiders. You can kill them, travel away, go to another area, come back and just do the same thing. And that's like a 0 skill required way, but that is definitely going to be a bit slower than the other methods. Sorry, I got carried away. There's 2 other, or 3 really, good locations for critters to do this with as well. You've got Monkey's Rest in Addons, just northwest of the Wayshrine here, that you start with, so it's pretty easy to reach that one. Alikir Desert is a really good option with Goat's Head Oasis over here. There's lots of goats here. Easy to reach too because of these 2 houses. You can just go through home tours to just reach those. Grawood has, along the roads, there's a couple of locations with a lot of monkeys. You just basically run around on the roads and you'll find a bunch in various locations other than that. But yeah, what I'd probably do if you want to chase that route is just go across like between each one. So go Stonefalls, then Addons, and then Alikir Desert. Just be aware there's probably going to be other people trying to do the same thing. So I like using Nightblades myself for class kills. I think they're personally the best. Obviously you've got subclassing though, and that's another thing which I'll just touch on in a minute. But yeah, Nightblades are great, Sorcerers are pretty good, Templars are great, Necromancers are pretty good. Arcanists, Dragon Knights, and Wardens, I don't really like them too much. Arcanists and Dragon Knights, they do a shit ton of damage, but they don't... I struggle with the healing aspect of it. Like with Nightblades and stuff, they have just like constantly healing themselves while they're dealing damage, and I just think it's easier to... Well, just like less work. Like using these, because you know, Sap Essence just heals you whenever you deal damage. Same thing with siphoning attacks. So yeah, that's why I like these classes more than the others. Subclassing wise though, I would pick Nightblade, Siphoning, Sorcerer's Storm Cooling, and Dawn's Wrath. That's like the trio that I use, especially with Solar Flare morphed to Solar Barrage. It increases all your class damage as well, so that one works really well. But yeah, just whatever class you're comfortable with, that's fine. Just make sure if you use some of the other classes, just go Reaving Blows to make sure you get some healing in, because otherwise you're basically just going to be spamming fucking Vigor or Restoration Staff abilities all the time, and it can be quite annoying. Maybe not so much an issue in like public dungeons, but Skyreach is especially an issue. Like I try using a Dragon Knight through there, and if I don't have Reaving Blows, I just fucking die every time. So maybe it's just me, but I don't know. I feel like most people would struggle if I do. So, okay. The other things is the sets. So there are 2 sets you can get which increase your class damage. Forest Wraith increases your crit chance to class abilities, and then Innate Axiom increases your damage, weapon spell damage for class abilities. So these 2 together make it really easy to get kills with class abilities, because like they're doing a lot more damage. Also, I like to have an infused weapon on the back bar and use a ground AoE weapon skill. This is the only non-class ability I use, because on the back bar, the weapon skill gives you like 450 weapon and spell damage. That's a lot. So yeah, you don't have to use this, but I like using it just because it just adds so much extra damage for you. So, and then yeah, enchants, don't use any like flame or poison damage shit like that, because if that gets the kill on an enemy, it doesn't count, so it just slows you down. And don't use a full monster set. Don't use any proc sets. Only use sets that increase your crit damage, weapon and spell damage, stuff like that. Like Order's Wrath is great. Tidefall Wildstalker, Shattered Fate, sets like that are just fine. Mother Sorrow, Spriggans, things like that are fine. But yeah, just don't use anything like, for example, Whirl of the Depth from Josiel Reef is like, when you do this, it has a chance to do this, dealing damage. Those sets don't count for class skills either, so they will steal kills. It's not going to be a big deal because you need 500 kills anyway. So as long as sorry, where's the enemy? So I missed it. Where the fuck? Oh, there. Sorry, I'm blind. Yeah, with this one, you're going to need a lot more for this anyway. So as long as you got some class damage in there, you usually should be fine. But I just like doing this one first, just so it's out of the way. So my personal setup that I'm going to use here to show you is just a standard Nightblade one. It's just a pure Nightblade skill line. So the main things I use for this is Sap Essence. I use Siphoning attacks, and I will use Veil of Blades in Skyreach Catacombs because there's so many more enemies. But if you're doing public dungeons, I'd probably go something less ultimate cost, like Soul Tether. Now, the only problem I have with public dungeons, as opposed to Skyreach, is sometimes you can come through here and another player has run through and killed all the enemies, so you can't use this. That is why I suggest using Skyreach, because Skyreach is actually instanced. So when you go in, you've got your own like isolated area. It's like a group dungeon. So that just allows you to kill all the enemies there and not have to worry about who's been in there killing everything. So yeah, you look at this, like nothing's alive right now. So you're just wasting time, basically, is the issue. Yeah, the goal is just to stack as much AoE damage as you can possibly get. So I'm just going to chuck Blockade on the ground, Vigor just first. Use Lotus Fan, use Shade, sorry, and then I just like ultimate there for all the enemies that aren't dead. Yeah, enemies in public dungeons are usually going to be very, very easy. You'll find the occasional public dungeon boss. These guys are nowhere near as tanky or difficult to kill as ones from dungeons. Yeah, Blockade, Twisting Path, Shade, Lotus Fan, Sap Essence, yeah. And you just use something very similar for other classes, just their skills will obviously be different. So there's a lot of public dungeons. My personal favourites would be Lion's Den in the Rift. Melaval Tor, you've also got Crimson Cove. This one is just full of Imperial enemies. Another great one in Reaper's March, you've got Vile Mance over here. Green Chase is pretty good too, there's a lot of Worm Cultists. Well, just kill this guy. Forgotten Crypt's also great. Dolmens The one in Cold Harbor, also excellent. There's shit tons of Dremora in there. Just thinking of some others. Now that Hrothgar is free LC, this option, Rekindle left, great. Aldocinium, also great. The only thing is the quest requires you to do a little puzzle. Just probably look that up if you don't know how that works. Dubuer in the future for the Tamriel Tome stuff, there's going to be a group event challenge that gives you shit tons of Tamriel tome points. One of the best options, I think. So yeah, just good idea to unlock access to these places quickly anyway. So yeah. All right. As for Skyreach Catacombs, though, it is located here. Getting this way shown is a good idea. What I would probably do is use home tours. Same thing with the public dungeons, just use home tours to get there. I'd go Earthtier Cavern, start there, head north, up here, up the road, come this way, get this way shown, and then you've got easy access to Skyreach Catacombs. The first thing you want to do is just try and get as many points in Breakfall as you can, because the quickest way to Skyreach is like off a huge drop. But, you know, if you want to use other stuff, like if you'd rather have enchant stuff and rationer and liquid efficiency for not using as many potions, it's not a must-have, but yeah, it just speeds up the process. Alright, so here we are. So basically follow where that guy's going. What I like to usually do though is just come down here, because that just leads you straight towards the catacombs. Yeah, that's why you need Breakfall, because that drop is it will kill you if you try and do that normally. What you can do usually though is just, if you don't have Breakfall, just come down here. Just be aware, if you have low champion points, it's a lot to deal with in here, so maybe pull smaller groups of enemies at a time. But if you have a lot of champion points, you'll be fine. Trust me. 3. Siphoning spells and Bloody Renewal. These will give you at maximum 1500 magicka or stamina when you kill enemies. And you're going to be killing like tens of enemies in like a couple of seconds. Like you'll not have any sustain issues in here if you have this sort of thing. But it's just, I like having Metro Recovery myself just to make sure when that's not going on I've got plenty. But yeah, you can totally use just like shit that just gives you max stats and it's fine. Another thing you'll want to have if you can is an ability that removes all snares and immobilizations and grants immunity. Anything like that is really good. Nightblades, another great reason I like them so much is they have Blur, which you can morph to Phantasmal Escape, which applies this for 6 seconds at max. So this skill is very good, because it's really easy to get. Like, it's the first one you get in the Shadow line. Other classes have this. Wardens have one as well. In Animal Companions, you've got Falcon Swiftness. Dragonauts now have it with their wing skill and I think Draconic Power. Yeah, Wing Buffet. So I think the Fleet Set Wings gives it to you. Yeah, immunity to all stairs. I don't think the other ones do, but yeah, this also gives you Major Expedition, so this is a great option too. Just yeah, maybe you could use this with like some of the other like subclassing lines, and yeah, you could use that alongside. It'd be good. Yeah, there's a couple of other ones, but yeah, they're the main ones. If you want a non-class specific one, Sigil Order, Race Against Time, the morph of Accelerate. This option here gives you Major Expedition, Minor Force, and gives you immunity to snares. All great buffs for this sort of content. Because yeah, you're gonna have a lot of crit chance. You're gonna want to run a lot, and yeah, you're always gonna want immunity to snares in this place. So I'll usually destruct this. I'll get rid of Shade because that's not gonna do much for me in here. If you're using Shade, you'd want the morph for Dark Shade, which increases, like, gives it an AoE attack. But yeah, all the rest of this stuff's fine. And then I'll swap to Valor Blades. I'll put this on the front, because the way Night Blades work, they get more crit chance from Soul Harvest being on the front bar. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull as many enemies as possible, and I'm going to just train them up here, and... Oh, sorry, yeah, this spot here. And I'll, like... What will happen is, because the ranged enemies can't see me, they will run to a spot where they can see me, which is basically just going to be stacking up right here. And then you chuck all your AoE down on the floor there, because basically the melee enemies will follow you. So when you go to the ranged enemies, everything will be basically stacked in one relatively small area. It's not a perfect solution, but it works really well usually. Okay, so here we go. So while you come through here, put an AoE on the floor around these bone mounds, and there'll be some fire pits which have the same thing. So these ones here, attack one of those to make sure they get pulled too. Another bone mound here. So here's the area where you line of sight them. So just come to this spot. They can't see you through the wall here. So all the ranged enemies will come over to this spot. That's where you're trying to get the stuff. The AoE down here. Come over here to line of sight the ranged enemies a bit further, and you can see all the enemies are dying in this area here. And yeah, just look at all the damage. Yeah, just AoE down here as well. These enemies here, the ghosts are much tankier usually. So yeah, just expecting them to take longer to kill. But yeah, so what are we looking at now? Yeah, about 70 enemies there. Class skills is almost done, so you can see it's pretty quick to do. And yeah, just repeat that process for this group here as well. Grab that group, come up here, grab that mound, these enemies, grab that mound. I usually like to grab these enemies here for reasons that I'll show you in a second. Yeah, what I usually do is come down here and a line of sight behind this, so it pulls all the ranged enemies a bit closer. Try and have a bit of stamina available so you can break free, or roll dodge, because sometimes you get stuck like this. Yeah, you can see all the ranged enemies are grouping up here. There's a couple of ranged enemies in the back. Just come over here to line of sight them over to the AoEs, so you can see they're all coming over now. One of them over there for some reason, but yeah. Kill that dude on his own. So yeah, here's the ghost coming. So yeah, you can see 120,000 health for the ghosts, 60,000 for other enemies. That's what I mean there. They're pretty tanky. But they don't do much aside from just take a while to kill, really. Alright, there we go. So now, in here, you've got this chest which spawns shit tons of enemies here. But if you're in combat, you can't activate it. So what you do is you kill that group there, so now you can just come in here without being in combat. You could also use Cloak if you have a Nightblade and pull all these 4 groups together at the same time. But what you want to do is activate this first and then pull all the enemies. Obviously, you only do this if you're able to handle it, because it's a lot of enemies to deal with, and you'll be hopping in this corner and taking a shit ton of damage for a bit, while all the ranged enemies in the back just slowly come over to you. Get bigger. Snare remove, put all the AoEs down here. What I usually do is chuck my Shadow ult right here, and I just go to town. That's a lot of damage. And you can see the Shadow ult is back. That's why I love Nightblades for this, because Soul Harvest, the Assassination ultimate, when you kill enemies, you get ultimate back. So if you kill enough enemies on your own, you'll just constantly be getting enough ulti to resummon Veil of Blades, the Shadow ultimate. Well, you know, you can use other stuff, but I like Veil of Blades because it lasts so long. So you can see how long it's just lasting there, and it just means that for all that time you're waiting for Veil of Blades to come back, you can just keep it constantly up because it lasts so long. And it's just, you've got this tiny group of enemies here that just keep spawning over and over. The heavy attack from the Fletch Action Arcs will put a snare on you. So yeah, use your snare remover if you're having troubles with that. You'll usually, yeah, you'll get these Bone Colossus as well. That will spawn from time to time. And there you go, treasure chest done. Got a purple item that you can deconstruct for a material or sell it, whatever you want to do, or use it. And yeah, you can see we're over halfway for defeating enemies. That's what I mean. A few minutes through here, you're all good. Don't fight these guys or whatever you do, because this guy here hits like a fucking freight train. Doesn't look like it, but yeah. He doesn't have a lot of health, so you can kill him relatively quickly. But it's a stressful fight. Whatever. What I'll do is, I will fight him. But yeah, I will probably die here, because I struggle to deal with him. You come over here, grab this group, pull this group, come down here, pull these guys here as well, and the mound over here. And what I'll do is I'll chuck my Shadow Ultimate there, so all the ranged enemies when they come over, they'll just stand in that AoE and die, and all the melee enemies will just be dying to my regular attacks. Ooh. Yeah, careful of take aim. If you see that orange effect on you, yeah, that's why. So take aim does a lot of damage. It does like 16,000. what I would advise you do is use an add-on called Codes Combat Alerts. It's not showing up here, but yeah, I've got this one. It's this one here, Codes Combat Alerts. Whenever the taking aim applies, or like is getting prepared, it'll give you like a notification. I'm just blind and didn't see it. Yeah, you can also see it's like the orange effect on you, and one of the archers in the back will have that taking aim effect on them. So I'm just going to go back and grab all the enemies. Got these guys. This bone mound. So yeah, the archers are the most dangerous enemies in here. So yeah, if you see one in the back using that orange taking aim effect, yeah, just deal with them first if you can. Alright, but I've already got my ultimate back, so... Nightblade keeps strife on enemies at all times. There's a taking aim in the background. Managed to dodge it, that was lucky. Alright, I'm probably about to take a lot of damage from the Ice Staff guy. So there he is there. Curse Orator. So you just see, yeah, like he deals a lot of damage with his ice attacks. Yeah, like, look at that. A single hit's like a quarter of my health. Yeah, I'm just going to deal with everything else first. I'm going to bring all the enemies over. Line of sight them in this corner. Yeah, you'll get stuck sometimes. You're gonna have to roll dodge sometimes. It's just how it be. Right, bring them a little closer. Yeah, there we go. So they're all in the AoE. Right, now we'll deal with this guy. Probably want to put that on him. Ow. Yeah, that also does a lot of damage. There we go. So that's it. So looking at it, yeah, 3/4 of the way through basically, and all you have to do now is just leave, wait about 5 minutes for the place to reset, just come back, and probably just like do this part, and that'll be like probably 70 to 100. And then if you want, you can just keep going with the rest of the enemies over here, or you can just leave and kill some enemies in the public dungeon, because that'll be much easier to kill. It's just that this place will not reset when you leave and come back straight away. You just have to wait a little bit for it to reset. It's like group dungeons, they're the same. But yeah, that's like, because instance, this is just such a good place. Like 10 minutes, basically you're all done. Right, so there's one more option I want to talk about. The last melon. So we've got Incursions. So Incursions are easy to do, easy to find. Every one of the base game zones, as well as the DLC zones, have their own form of Incursions. I would only really suggest doing the base game base game zone ones, because they're a lot easier to do solo. Obviously, you can do some of the other ones. You've got the Abyssal Geezers in Somerset. You know, these ones here, they always have the same icons. I'm pretty sure all of them do. You've got Somerset, you've got the High Isle volcanic vents. If you want to get the lead for Oaken Soul, it's probably a good idea to try and do those. Western Skyrim, we've got the Harrow Storms. Harrow Storms are pretty fucking annoying to do on your own, though. It's probably like the most annoying one. Telvanni, I don't think has one because they've got the Bastion Mimics. These things here, I think. I don't know if they count or not. I've never tested them, but again, they're fucking brutal. The only ones I'd really bother with, as I said, is the base game ones. The Abyssal ones not too bad, and the High Isle ones are doable solo. Just a little bit of a little tougher than the other ones. Yeah, regular dolmens are the best way, I think. So every zone has 3 dolmens situated along the map. Ignore the little tiny portals. They're just for doing. I think I had them around for the Gone Pursuit for the Worm Cult stuff. The Daedric Invasion, because there was something. Anyway, not important. So you've got these ones here. Leafwater Dolmen, you've got Venomous Fens Dolmen, and then you've also got the one up here, Reticular Spine Dolmen. They'll always have like names, there'll always be 3 like littered in each zone. And they follow like a certain pattern. So I think this one here goes this one up here, and then this one, and follows that order. For example, the ones in Oridon, it always goes bottom to top. So this one, and then this one, and then it resets to Illuvimir. every one of these zones, it works that way. So there's basically always one up at any given time in a zone. They are 30 seconds apart. So incursions are really good because they're easy to do on your own, and they're like constantly up. So it will take you a few minutes, but it's very simple getting this option done. It just takes a little bit of time. You'll also get kills with class skills. You'll get regular defeating enemies done. You can, like, while you're waiting for a trial, you can also do incursions at the same time, just do some Dolmens while the group forms. Same with battlegrounds. Maybe same with pledges if you're going to do those for dungeons. There is a quest for the Fighters Guild which you can get from the capitals. For example, like the Fighters Guild in Grotwood, that require you to do one Dolmen. So you could do that as well, though that'll take a while. But yeah, there's stuff you can do aside from that. And I believe... No, never mind. The Jester's Fest. I think the Jester's Fest you used to be able to just kill like delve bosses and incursion bosses for tickets, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think you just have to do that, the Jester's Fest quests. Anyway, so yeah. I assume most people have done these before. What I'll do is I'll just first go through what I think are the best zones for this, because some zones, as an example, Green Shade, you've got some in like a really annoying area to reach. Like this way shrine is is kind of close if it were just like a trek on land, but there's a huge fucking ocean in the way, so yeah, kind of annoying. Same thing with Stormhaven. This one down here, there's fucking no way shrines nearby. Pain in the ass to do that one and go back into the other ones. So personally, I think the best zones to use for Dolmens, if you're new to Dolmens or like you're just not too familiar with doing them on your own, I'd say do Alakir Desert. And Alakir Desert is just a great option in general because all the Dolmens are close by to a way shrine. So you've got this one next to Goat's Head Oasis, this one next to Asvala Stables, and then this one here between Sadakalam and Shrike's area. Two way shrines really close. This is probably the most busy Dolmen set because it, like, every time I go there's fucking dozens of people, so it's also really easy to do the Dolmens there. As long as you like hit one enemy or like activate the pinions or something, you'll basically get participation for the like progressing the challenge itself. Some other good options though, I usually like going to Addons because this is also pretty populated with people and it's just what I'm just most used to. Yeah, Windy Glade. It's not as like, sometimes there's too many people at Alakir Desert. Like XP is a decent thing to get here because like you hurt the enemies and each enemy when it dies just gives you shit tons of XP. Not the best, it's not like Black Rose Prison or anything, but it's pretty good for a base game thing. So yeah, I like Addons. You got this one, you got this one, you got this one. Deshaan is also great. This is where you get Mother Sorrow, which is a good magic damage dealer, like early like set for beginners. And there's three really easy to reach Dolmens. You got this one, you've got this one, probably the furthest away from any of the ones I recommend, but that's the only one. Because yeah, this one here, right next to a Wayshrine as well, so really easy to use. The only annoying thing about these two is the one up here and the one on the eastern side. There's no easy way to get there like using home tours. You got this house here, that's probably the closest that way, and then in Addons you've got this house down here, which is probably the closest one, or this one, and you just have to travel up by road. But it's only a few minutes usually, especially if your mount's quick. And the last one is Shadowfen. Shadowfen's really good because, again, all three Dolmens are pretty close to Wayshrine. You got this one, you got this one here, and then you got this one. And you've also got houses that are pretty close by, so, well, kind of. This one's definitely going to be the longest, furthest trick. But yeah, you got Stay Moist, which is close to here, and yeah, you just go down this way, and this one will be, that's not too bad. Alright, I'll just give you an example of a Dolmen. A couple of tips to make it a bit easier for yourself, but they're about as difficult as, like, you'll fight like one enemy that's like a public dungeon boss level of difficulty, but everything else is like super, like just overland difficulty stuff. So when you get here, they will show up like this when you've found like gone and discovered them on the map. If you don't have this, yeah, you unfortunately just have to go and discover them, but usually you can see they're up. Most of the time you'll see a big anchor in the middle of the sky. Yeah, you'll see these 6 enemies at the start. AoE damage is really good for them because they're all just like, it's 6 enemies, but they're all really low health. So every time it starts, you'll have like a group of enemies spawn. It's just like Daedra. There's almost always one of these like tougher enemies, like the Quarterrazzer here. You can get all sorts of enemies. Probably one of the most nasty to deal with is the Flesh Abominations. Really big Flesh Atronachs. What I usually do with those, if you're not too tanky, is just like, if you're near them, just roll dodge and move away, and just try your best to use just like range skills on them. Because yeah, they hit like a truck. They stun you even through block sometimes, and yeah, they're just all around. It's pretty nasty. Now, what I'll do is I'll just absolutely obliterate my stamina and just show you one of the most important things, which is these pinions here. So activating these pinions, you won't. Yeah, there we go. Sometimes it won't work too well, but it gives you all your resources back. So if you've killed a bunch of enemies and you need a bunch of like magicka back, and you're about to run out, just look for one of these open pinions and just activate it, and yeah, it'll give you all your resources back. And these pinions, it takes about 4 or 5 enemies to fill each one, maybe 3. So yeah, as you fight the enemies, you'll just slowly activate these pinions, and you can just use them to get resources back. Probably one of the most important parts of being able to do these. Usually if you have champion points with like Bloody Renewal or Siphoning attacks, you'll be able to get a lot of resources back just by killing enemies, so I recommend those as well. So this is like the public dungeon boss guy. He's like the only struggle you're probably going to have if you're new, because yeah, he's a bit tougher. But yeah, just what I would do is just quickly deal with the 2 little enemies and just make sure it's only him you got to deal with, and just have like a decent self heal. Usually Vigor is more than enough to keep you safe in these kinds of places. So if you can, get access to one of these here. If you're a magic build, get this one. If you're a stamina build, get this one. Because every time you kill one of these enemies, it'll give you a bunch of stamina or magicka back. Really helpful, because you'll just be spending time killing a lot of these enemies. But yeah, if you're really struggling with this stuff, I'd advise just going to Alaka Desert, because these ones are super easy. Like, there's so many people. Like, let me just give you an example, right? If I just go to Alaka now, I'll see how many people are running out. And mind you, this is opposite of prime time in America. It's like, I'm pretty sure they're all asleep right now, because it's like 6 or 5 a.m. for them. A couple of people running. Like, you're usually going to have a bunch of people doing this. Like, look how many people there are right now. So yeah, and that's the Flesh Abomination there, the Flesh Colossus. So yeah, you can see a lot of people here doing this one. So yeah, if you're struggling, just come to Alaka. Usually it's heavily populated. And that's it for what I think are the good options. So if you get to like 18 or 19 and you don't want to bother with the Jesse's event, or like just want to get this done now, I would definitely just look at world bosses first if you haven't done that one yet. Maybe a trial, maybe a battleground match, and yeah, obviously you got extra Jesse's festival stuff. But yeah, probably don't bother with 10 dungeons. That's a lot of work. And yeah, 3 battleground matches may be a bit too much. Yeah, other than that, I wouldn't bother with I wouldn't bother with those options. Yeah, so I won't touch on the Jesse's Fest because it's not available right now. I have to wait until the 25th of March. Once the Jesse's event starts, I'll do a separate video for the event, the stuff you can get for that, and I'll run through how to get tickets there. So and boxes as well. Basically, do all the quests; they all give you boxes. And let me just double check. Yeah, here we go. So here's the list for all the Jesse's event stuff. You get the purple boxes by doing every daily quest after the first. So I think the gold boxes also count for these options. So yeah, just do each of the quests for the Jesse's event. They're all very easy. It's basically just go to a bunch of places and just like press E to interact with something, or use some of them I think are use like mud balls on some people, and if you use them with guards, I think it gives you a bounty. That's one of the things you got to worry about. And I think you can mudball, I think it's for achievement where you mudball the monarchs, and that gives you a bounty too, I think. But yeah, other than that, it's very easy shit. Just basically just fetch quests. That's all they are. So yeah, that's pretty easy. But yeah, just stay tuned if you want that video. That'll be out in a couple of days. So yeah, I think that's it to talk about for the Gone Pursuit though. So I'll leave it there. If you have any questions, you know the drill. Just give me add a comment in, and yeah, I'll get back to you and stuff. But yeah, that'll be all. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for your support as always. I'll see you next time, and take care for now.